Hello. Um, I would say Happy New Year, but as a friend of mine said recently that she's going around saying to people instead of just Happy New Year, she's saying Happy-ish New Year. So that's what I'm here to talk about. The last couple of years, we've had the year of joy was last year, the year of connection was the year before. And I know I need to add some videos into joy. There are some, and you can find probably more on YouTube than you've seen on Facebook, and that's kind of the direction I'm going to be going. I might throw out one on Facebook every now and then, but most of them are going to be on my YouTube channel, which is still Catherine Jones. That may change, but if you subscribe, that won't be a problem. Anyway, that was a little shameless advertising there. Not that I'm getting anything for this. um, but I'm inspired to do it, which is why I do it, and so many of you have told me that it's helpful. So, talking about this year. Oh, and here comes a train just to. And I'm going to let it roll, and we'll see how it comes out. Anyway, we've had the year of connection, we've had the year of joy, and this year, I knew from the beginning, I think, I started kind of getting the message of like, okay, what this year is going to be. You know, we started off with a terror event that took 13 innocent lives on and injured many others on New Year's Day, followed by us failing actually, in my mind, we failed a vet and we failed an active duty military person by allowing them to go so far down a bad hole, a mental health hole, that they ended up injuring other people and killing themselves. And then we have wildfires in LA. And now, on this gloomy, rainy day here in New Orleans, we're headed into what some people are calling the snowpocalypse or the winterpocalypse this coming week. And that's before we even think about anything else going on in the world. Wars, possibility of wars, famine. What's the word I'm coming to? Death. So in case you haven't guessed where I'm going with this is the year of death. And I've probably put it up in the title of the video anyway. So this is the year of death. That's the theme for the year. But I do not want you to think of the year of death as the year of like terrible bad things, right? There's going to be a lot more to come about that. But death is not an end unto itself. It's kind of like in the tarot, there's the death card is actually a card of transition. And that's always true. When something ends, something else always begins. And sometimes things have to end in order for other things to begin. Like something cannot begin unless something else ends. That's true, right? So as we are facing the year of death, let's think of death as a transition. And obviously, anytime there's an ending, a death, there are very difficult parts of it, right? It can be consuming, right? The grief that you feel as things end. But I am challenging you to also find ways to find hope, right? And I was just reminded, I was having breakfast with a friend this morning who reminded me that when Martin Luther King, whose celebratory day is on Monday, when Martin Luther King made that speech on the Mall, he was facing a lot of darkness and a lot of death and a lot of transition and a lot of difficulty. And he found hope. And I think that we have to remember, we have to look at all of this as a continuum, right? Everything in life. Whatever we're talking about, whether we're talking about politics, whether we're talking about where we are in the world, whether we're talking about where we are in our own lives, there's grief in transition. There's grief in death. There is new beginnings aren't always easy. It is not easy to birth a baby. I've birthed two. I can tell you. New things aren't necessarily easy either. But I think the important thing is to have hope, right? To have hope that however dark things are right now, the darkness never lasts. It always changes. The sun always rises. Things always get better. It's a cycle, right? And over time, we've had seriously dark dips, right? But then we've had beautiful highs and we've had dark dips. That's the way this works. That's the way life works. That's what it's like being a human being. The more that we can pull out and observe and be present, we can see the bigger picture, right? We can start to see where there might be hope, where we can bring hope to someone else, where we can bring love in. And that is the message that I really want to offer you, is find your joy. Try not to focus on particular bits or acts of darkness, whether they are man-made or otherwise. And remember that it's a cycle, right? And I'm not saying that there isn't loss, and I'm not saying that there isn't sadness around that. I really want to be clear about that. But it's how we perceive it, how we deal with it, and what we do with it that makes the difference, not only for us, but for all of those around us, and then eventually the greater world. And that's the important thing. That's what I want to leave with you today. So I'll leave it there now. Know that I have about 85 videos, and a lot of them are about, from the dark times of COVID, right? Remember those? So there's a lot of stuff. If you're drawn to it, please take advantage of that. There's also, and I'm going to continue to post on YouTube. Also hoping to have a podcast in the near future about transitions, about death, about maybe looking at a different narrative for grief in our culture. Lots of stuff that I'm very excited about getting into, right? And one other thing that occurs to me, the other thing that I would maybe suggest to you or invite you to do is, with all of the darkness and the difficulty that you may be feeling right now, if you can look at it as a chance to practice being present, to practice finding joy and gratitude in small things, this is a great time. We are being offered an opportunity to practice that in real time on a daily basis. And it is about practice, not perfection. And this is work that you're constantly doing, right? That we're constantly we kind of get to a plateau and we're like, oh, I can kind of handle things. I'm feeling good on my surfboard. That's referring back to another video. I'm feeling good on my surfboard right now. I'm surfing the waves of life. I'm doing okay. And then some big tidal wave knocks you off your board and you're like, ooh, maybe I'm not so good at that. So maybe this year is a little bit, or maybe the beginning of this year at least, is a little tidal wave. Boom. All right. Find your surfboard. Hang on, float, swim, learn to breathe underwater. Be present. See what this is offering you in terms of your practice, of being present, of being grateful for whatever it is that you do have, of not future tripping. That's also a practice, not getting into the future of oh, what if this, and oh, what if that, and oh my God, what about this, and this person, and that person, and what if this happens, and what if that. That's future tripping. Every time the future tripping stop, no future tripping. Not helpful. That's part of the practice too. And a lot of us are future tripping right now. So this is part of the practice. Let's not future trip. Let's help each other not future trip. How about that? So now I'm going to leave you. I have more. It'll be on YouTube. Mwah! Love you. Love yourselves. It's okay. It's all going to be okay. Mwah!